Hey y'all, since we're on the Zeppelin kick, let's do How Many More Time. There's a whole, it's almost like a rock theater kind of piece because there's sections to it, almost like a Doors song would be. But we'll see if we can run through the main parts of it. I'm not going to bother with the wah-wah pedal, but in the intro, he's using a wah-wah pedal to do those intro chords, which are, it starts off with the drum and the bass, you know, they're doing all that stuff. And then Jimmy comes in with this, right? And that's just an E chord. You could do it like that if you bar your E's up here like that. I do it like that with the pinky. And that's just on and off with your second finger, whichever finger you use. And then slide it down. A couple of those. Sounds better with a wah-wah pedal, trust me. And then then it goes to this thing. Right. That's just a D chord, your regular F shape D chord all the way up there, but cover the high E at the 12th, like that. And you gotta do that. That's kind of what makes the chord, that high E note up there at the octave high E note. Now, okay, here's one thing to note. When I listen to it, I can't tell because I've heard live ones so many times from their early period that he does this and then he goes up to E and slides that down. But on the album, I'd swear he's only doing this and not going up to E. I can't tell, so listen for yourself and decide which you want to do. So it's either this, right, just D, and then a regular E with no high. You don't use your pinky on that one, just a regular E. Or this, and straight down. I can't tell on that one because I haven't heard it in a long time. So that's the intro part, and then it goes into the main riff. Okay, so that's, and you'll hear he does kind of slide it up. So it slide the A string up to 7, then 5, and then the low E string at 7, back to the A string at 5, open E, back to the A string 7, A string 5, low E string 7, back to A string 5, which is sort of a half note because he does this. He's barely hitting that one at the end, but you can hear it, it is in there. It's not this. It's not that. He has that last little note in there. And that riff sort of seems to go on forever. And at one point in there he goes, there's a D, A, and then back into it. And I do that as just this D, G, and B at the 7th. You know, that's your D if you were borrowing a D chord. But I do it as a sort of a partial chord. But you could do that kind of thing. But it's I do it as, just do my A chord with an open A string and back into it. Goes right back into it. Goes through all that again, and then you finally get to where it goes. Right during that part when the guitar solo comes in. So that just, it stops on this. D, 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 E. D, back to a D. You could play it down there if you want. Back to a D, and then back to E, and then that's when he's doing the, you know, he's doing all that stuff. Bent it right out too. And then it goes back and forth between those two. And then eventually it'll come up to just That's just on an E chord, just strumming an E. And then it goes into the violin bow part. And then coming out of the violin bow, toward the end of it, it just goes... It builds up to that again. And it almost does the same bass run. It's almost repeating what they've already done. Oh, Rosie, that part. Okay, and then you're into that Jimi Hendrix chord. Oh, girl. That's that, it's this thing. A, open E string, A at the 7th, D at the 6th, G at the 7th, B at the 8th. Oh, girl. Oh, Rosie. And then the drums come to he's kind of shuffling on the drums. And then there's that part that goes... Right? And that part is, I just kind of whack, make sure you get that low E string. That's a G, 2 G note octaves. It's not a 5th chord. It's not this. It's not that, it's this. So you're just playing octaves with, start on the 3rd fret on the E, 5th fret on the D, and you're muting that A string, kind of with the fleshy part of that index finger. Move it up 2 frets, move it up 2 more, and then hit the low E. Back to the Hendrix chord again. And then alright, so that's B, B5. So you're playing just the low E, A, D strings of a barred B chord. And then he does a little thing. But before he goes down to A. And that's just on the A string, goes 7, 9, back to the 7 on the D. It's those 4 notes in that little box on the A and D strings between 7th and 9th frets. Then to an A5, G, down to E. And then Plant does I Got You in the Sights of My Gun, and then it's back into the riff. And in the outro, there's a few more of these. Until it finally goes. That's D, A, low E. And then for that last chord, it's the Hendrix chord once again. And then from there it's on to the second album. So that's really the end of it. So if you have any trouble with it, let me know. I'm not going to go through the solo or anything. That's I honestly don't have the wherewithal to explain that. But this will get you through the rhythm parts of it, minus the violin bow section. So see if you can get your bass player to play the violin bow part, and you can take a break. Good luck.